Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Hack, and in this video, you're checking out one of the most powerful builds in New World. This is the Duelist, a light armor setup that uses the rapier with the musket for absolutely insane damage combos. This build is perfect for anybody who wants to try to play New World while solo. You've got amazing headshot damage from full range, plus melee damage that rips enemies to shreds once they close the distance. You can throw bombs that slow and stun your targets, and if enemies get too close to you, you can simply fly through them with the rapier and kite them all day long. This build is my absolute favorite New World build so far, and we have a lot to cover, so let's jump right into it. Let's start by talking about the stats that you want to focus on this build, and it's actually extremely simple. Since we are using the rapier combined with the musket, our primary damaging stat is just dexterity. Dexterity will boost both of those weapons as much as possible, letting you deal as much damage as possible, so you want to start putting points into dex right away. Now, dexterity also grants a lot of fantastic passives. Basically, the more points you have invested into dexterity, whether it's through your attribute points or whether it's through gear or consumables, the more of these great passives you can unlock. Starting at 50 dex, you're going to have increased critical chance. At 100, you'll unlock increased thrust damage. At 150, you have reduced cost of dodge. 200, you have bonus backstab and headshot damage, two things that we do a lot on this build. At 250, you have 10% bonus crit damage on stunned, slowed, or rooted enemies. And finally, once you get to 300, you have a guaranteed critical strike after a dodge roll with a 10-second cooldown. Dexterity is also the primary attribute for skinning, so if you're interested in that as your trade skill, you'll get lots of bonuses for dexterity as well. Now, the second attribute that you want to focus on, of course, pretty much for any solo build in New World is going to be Constitution. And you want to get to at least 50 points pretty early on, and that's because of this passive. All health consumables are now 20% stronger. Now, there is a downside to this build. It's that we don't have a lot of healing abilities like pure healing skills. Now, the goal is to avoid taking damage entirely, but when you do get hit, you will want to consume those potions. And so having at least 50 Constitution is going to make those a lot stronger. All right, so in terms of consumables, it's really simple on the Duelist build. You'll want some food, of course. Light rations are the easiest. You can craft these yourself. And it's really important to have this on your character at all times because you always want that health recovery rolling because we don't have skills in our weapon skill lines that are going to heal us directly. So you might take some damage each fight, you just let it yourself heal back up to full before the next fight. It's really simple. Now, yes, there are other buff foods that you can use as well, foods that give you like dexterity and constitution. So as you get a little bit higher level, you might consider crafting those or buying them on the trader. The only problem with those is they also have a short duration, like 15 to 20 minutes. So you'd probably only be using those in very specific situations. Now, the other thing you're going to need on this build is a lot, and I mean a lot of health potions. You start with a basic weak health potion, and that's fine for like the first 10 to 15 levels. But eventually you'll want to start picking up common health potions and even strong health potions for that max healing. With that Constitution passive that we talked about earlier, the 20% bonus healing on potions, strong potions easily can heal you over 1,000 health in one shot. It's really good to have those on hand for emergencies. Now finally, since we are using the musket, then you are going to be concerned about ammo. At the start of the game, you'll want to get these iron cartridges. Now, in my previous build that used the bow, I recommended crafting your own arrows. And you can do that for cartridges as well for the musket. For me, I actually just buy these on the trader. The reason why I don't craft my own cartridges is it actually takes 2 steps. It's a little bit more complicated than arrows. You can see for the basic cartridge here, you need iron ingots, which is fine. Linen is totally fine. But then you need gunpowder, and gunpowder is a separate craft. So you have to come to the workshop down here, and then you have to craft gunpowder first. That takes charcoal, flint, and saltpeter. Charcoal is easy to get. You just basically burn green wood. Flint is easy. You pick it up everywhere. Saltpeter is a little bit harder to get. You pretty much just find this in like caves and stuff. So the fact that you kind of need 2 stages to actually craft your ammunition here, I just tend to buy it on the trader. It's much easier. Let me just show you actually Yeah, standard price for an iron cartridge is 0.01. So if you get like a max stack, which is 500, 5 gold. 5 gold plus tax. Yeah, I would just recommend buying it. It's super cheap, much easier than crafting it yourself. All right, so let's talk about equipment next, starting with our armor. Now, I do like running this build as a light equip load. Basically, this gives us as much damage as possible. We get that 20% bonus damage done and healing. The roll dodge is really nice for combat too when you're getting in close melee range with the rapier. It's nice to have that extra dodge distance. Now, I do think medium is perfectly viable also. I know specifically that some people really like going medium with a musket build. Muskets have a passive that when you dodge, you get a free reload, and so you can actually dodge a little bit quicker, or your dodge animation doesn't take quite as long, rather, when you're doing the medium dodge versus the longer roll dodge. So that is an option. Medium gives you 10% bonus damage, plus longer crowd control duration, and obviously stronger armor. But I think for like just basic content, solo gameplay, light is a very good option. Now, how are you going to get to light? Well, first thing is you don't want all your pieces to be light. That's kind of a waste. In the equip load system, as long as you are under 13 weight, that considers your build as light. And that means you can actually run one piece that's different. And so what I like to do is run the medium chest piece. And now what this does is it gives you bonus, basically extra armor, elemental and physical armor rating on that chest piece because it is the highest in the game. You can get all the bonuses from that extra armor and still be under the weight limit for light. So medium chest piece, and then every other piece is going to be light. That's what I would recommend. In terms of sets that you might want to keep an eye out for, this one called the Ranger is actually pretty good. This is 100% focused on dexterity. And as we said in the introduction, dexterity is going to be the best stat for this build because it primarily buffs rapier and musket. Intelligence is a secondary buffing factor, so that would be okay. But dexterity is going to be the best by far. So anything that focuses on dexterity, like I said, this Ranger set, for example, is going to be perfect to pick up for this build. There's another set called the Warden. This gives you dexterity combined with constitution. A few of these would be pretty nice as well for the extra max health. Now, in terms of traits, there are several traits that will buff both your rapier and musket abilities. I'll have more of these listed in the written guide if you want to check those out. But a couple that I was able to find just on the trading post as I was looking around this week, Sundering Riposte. With this trait, Riposte grants Rend, reducing damage absorption on the target by 10% for about 10 seconds. That's a really good armor trait. I was able to find some good traits on jewelry as well. Here's one, the Amulet of the Century. This actually gives me Constitution, which is totally fine. I also have the Divine trait on this, so I gain more health from healing effects. And I've got a ring with the Keen Awareness trait, so this is an extra bonus to critical chance. Now let's talk about weapons for a minute. Weapons by far make the biggest difference on this build, so you want to be looking out for a few of these specifically. On the rapier, of course, anything with dexterity. So if you can get a ranger set rapier, that's going to be awesome. This one has 18 dexterity, just at level 33. It also comes with Keenly Empowered. So on critical, I'm going to gain 15% empower for 5 seconds. That's really going to boost that melee damage, which is the whole point of this build. We want to do tons of damage when we're in range because we want to finish off things quickly. We don't want to take hits in the process. The gem here is insanely important. This is where most of the true power of the build comes from. So in the rapier, I've got Opportunist 3, and this comes from slotting an emerald. So you want to be on the lookout for emeralds on the trading post. And this does 16% damage against targets with less than 30% health. So basically, we're using the musket to initiate combat. If anything gets close to us, they should already be really low health. They should be within that 30% health range. That's where that emerald gem is going to really kick in. So it's a good combination. Speaking of the musket, here's where the build does absolutely insane damage. We've got the Brigand musket here. Again, pretty good combination of stats, dexterity plus constitution. And I was also really happy to find this musket because of the trait, Crippling Powder Burn. Causes targets with powder burn to be slowed by 15% for 5 seconds. Basically, we're going to open up with the musket. We're going to throw on powder burn. It's going to slow down the target, allow us to get in even more musket shots for even more damage. But like we were talking about, the gem is the most powerful aspect of this weapon. So we've got the Brash trait. This is 25% damage against targets with full health. The gem that you will need for this is the Onyx. So get a cut onyx, any tier, put this in your musket. That first initial shot is going to get a huge bonus of damage. 25% on this case. This is just tier 3. It goes up even higher than that. So that is fantastic. All right, moving right along to skills on the rapier. We have a nice mix of abilities here, both for the close range melee combat and then also for mobility. So I would start with just melee combat. You're going to get flurry. So this is a series of 5 quick thrusts, each strike dealing more damage with a 16-second cooldown. Combined with that, we're going to pick up Riposte. Riposte is basically your defensive counterattack. So you enter into a defensive stance for 1 second. If you are struck during this ability, you then counter the attacker and stun them for 1.5 seconds. You're also briefly invulnerable during that time. And then third and final ability is going to be Fletch. This is your mobility. And this comes in so clutch with the musket combo. Basically, you can stay on your musket for as long as you want, because as soon as enemies close in on you, just switch over to your rapier, use the Fletch ability, and then you can just fly through targets. It basically removes all collision with enemies, letting you fly completely through them and just keep going. It's an amazing skill. So those are the 3 main abilities that I prefer. Again, Flurry, Riposte, Fletch in that order. Now in terms of upgrades, they're all actually really good. I will probably max these out once I have my full 20 weapon skill points on this build. So for Flurry, Overwhelm increases your block damage. Fleeting Strikes reduces the cooldown of this ability, 7% per hit. That's really good. To the Bone extends any rapier bleed durations. And Finalize causes the last hit of Flurry to stagger an enemy. You can see Fletch I've already maxed out. I actually maxed this one out first. Quick Lunge reduces the cooldown of this ability by 80%. You get the killing blow with it. That's really great. Axe Side increases your next critical strike by 15% damage done. And then Interruption, pressing light attack anytime during the Fletch will stop and perform a static continuation attack, dealing 115% damage. This again is great to combo with the musket. Again, do your musket abilities, Fletch through the target, hit that light attack to get in a backstab on the other side. It's a really good combo. And then finally, for Riposte upgrades, these are good also. I'm not there yet. So Insult to Injury, your attacks become uninterruptible for 3 seconds. Priority reduces the cooldown of your other rapier abilities by 20%. And then Lasting Consequence increases the stun from Riposte to 2 seconds. So definitely work on maxing out all the upgrades to these abilities and then look at passives next. In terms of those passives, we do have Desperation, so 10% bonus damage when your stamina is low. Remember, we will be doing a lot of dodge rolling, especially in melee range, so you will have this passive most of the time. Perfectionist gives you 10% more damage when your health is full. Again, if you're able to use those dodges to your advantage, that's 10% bonus damage. Red Curtains reduces all your cooldowns by 5% if you critically strike. And Swiftness gives you 3% haste on any hit, stacking up to 5 times, so a total of 15% haste. We will eventually want to unlock Momentum, so this is 25% increased damage on your next light or heavy attack after performing an ability. Remember, heavy attacks are significantly stronger than a light attack, so you will probably want to save this for a heavy attack. So let's say you use a Riposte, you already stunned the target for about 2 seconds, plenty of time to charge up a heavy attack, and boom, that's 25% increased damage. All right, talking about the musket next, you can see we're mainly focused on sharpshooter, so we want to pick up Power Shot first. This is just big time damage, 150% weapon damage, plus even more when we tack on the extra upgrades. Follow that up with Powder Burn. Doesn't do quite as much damage up front, only 110% weapon damage, but you get the burn status effect applied that deals 20% weapon damage per second for 9 seconds. This also counts as fire damage, so it's exceptionally good against beast type enemies or angry earth type enemies. Love that extra burn damage, plus we can upgrade it further. Then the third ability, I actually am enjoying Sticky Bomb. There's literally nothing better than landing a sticky bomb on an enemy, exploding them to pieces, or sticking the bomb on them and then flying through them with Fletch on the rapier, only to watch them explode on the other side. It does massive damage also, 175% weapon damage. And you can time it, right? So there's a 3-second delay, so you can actually sticky bomb, use your musket at the same time, have those both explode at once. Pretty fun ability. So those are our main skills. Now, in terms of the upgrades, I think I actually would buff Powder Burn first because these are really good. Like we said, Backdraft deals additional damage while the target is on fire. So that's just your standard musket shots, right? And then this one is really good. Chronic Trauma, if Powder Burn is a headshot, extend the burn duration to 13 seconds, so 4 extra seconds on the burn effect. Sharpshooter upgrades are actually quite good too. You get Empower on this one, initial engagement. First Blood is really good, a 10% bonus damage to targets with full health. Remember, this is going to be our full health weapon, so when you're starting out, make sure you're using your musket at full range. With this ability, you get 10% bonus damage, plus don't forget that Onyx Gem. With the Brash trait, that's at like 25% bonus damage to full health targets. This ability hits hard. So I'm happy with these upgrades. Eventually, I will want to upgrade Sticky Bomb to Unflinching Walk. Gives you stamina back, which is not bad, but I think Sticky Slow is going to be really good. So that's a 15% slow for 3 seconds. Now, in terms of passives, I went right for this one. So Called Shot Resupply. Standard attack headshots reduce all musket ability cooldowns by 10%. That's really useful. And then you will need some passives on the Trapper side to get to Sticky Bomb. Here, Assault on the Wounds gives you 10% bonus damage. Weaken Defense increases stamina damage to enemies that are blocking with shields. Enemies with shields are probably like your worst enemy on a musket build. So this definitely does help a little bit with that. And then by far the best passive for the musket is going to be this guy, Tactical Reload. Dodging reloads the musket every 6 seconds. Fantastic passive for that instant reload. We'll check this out right now. All right, quick showcase of the skills here so you can see how it works. Always start with Power Shot into a Powder Burn, and then quick roll dodge, cancel into the basic attack, into the fletch, and a backstab. That's the basic combo. Works very well in most cases, or you can do different variations of it. We'll do it one more time here. Power Shot, aim for the head if you can, into the Powder Burn. Enemy's much closer here, so you can riposte, counterattack, and then just a couple basic attacks to finish off. That works just as well. So a couple enemies here. Same thing, Power Shot, and then Powder Burn should be just about ready. Go ahead and do that into the fletch, and then backstab there. One more enemy to go here, so here's where we can take out the Sticky Bomb. This will give a nice stun, allowing us to reload here. There's the stun, reload, and then riposte to counter that into the flurry. That's another nice combo, by the way. Riposte into flurry. And if you can get behind the enemy for the flurry, that's even more damage. One more time into the Power Shot, Powder Burn combo. You see the dots ticking there. A couple basic attacks into the Sticky Bomb, fletch, and just watch them blow to pieces. There you go. All right, everybody, and with that, that's going to wrap up this build video on the Duelist Rapier Musket combo for New World. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Of course, if you did, do us a favor, crush that like button, and leave a comment below. Let me know what types of builds that you'd like to see next here on the channel. Now, just a quick reminder that all of our builds here do have complete written guides over on our website. That's rpgdojo.com. There we'll have even more information on skills, passives, gems, traits, pretty much everything you need to know to make this build work can be found over in the written guide. Link will be in the description and the pinned comment if you want to check it out. We also have several other builds and guides over on the site. And like I said, if you have any suggestions for new builds or guides you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments. That being said, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you around in the next video.